Hey everybody, welcome to another Intro to HTML video. In this video I'm going to introduce the float. Float is a property in CSS and it allows us to position an element floating alongside of some other content, allowing the content to flow around it. Alright, here's what I've got. I have a basic HTML file, doctype HTML, HTML tag opening. I've got my head, a title, I've got my style sheet. I've got this the Google fonts from a previous video in here. We don't need this, it's not necessary. We don't need anything for fonts really. We don't have to worry about any of this stuff. The only thing that I'm concerned with is we have a couple paragraphs, and I've set the background color of the paragraphs to silver, gave some margin and padding. And we've got a figure and an image in the figure. So here's my HTML. I've got my H1, H2. I've got my figure with an image in it, fig caption, and I've got 3 paragraphs below. For styling the figure, all I did is I set the figure to 25% width, set some padding on it, 2% left and right, 20 pixels top and bottom, and then set the image width to 100% the width of the figure. Make sure you have this. You've got a basic HTML with 3 paragraphs, a figure with an image in it. The image is set to flex along with the size of the figure, and the figure is set to some percentage of the page. Probably something like 25% would be good. If you need to do this, pause the video and come back. Alright, welcome back. Let's take a look at what this is going to look like in the browser. There you have it. I've got my image inside of a figure with a fig caption, my H1 and H2 above it, and 3 paragraphs below. Now, let's talk about the float. Float is a property, and I'm going to set my figure to float to the left of the paragraphs. Given that it's a property, it's just like this. It's right before the colon. And then the values for float are either left or right. I'm going to start with left. Float left. It's going to float my figure to the left of the content. The content is going to flow to the right side of it. Notice how I put a margin on the right side of my figure. It pushes the content over from the edge of the figure. I've got a margin on the left side of my paragraphs, and it spaces itself out from the right side of the figure. And it's going to continue to flow alongside it until the figure is done, and then the rest of the content will just go back where it belongs, all the way to the side. So it allows me to make kind of a the text flow around some object within my design. That's float left. Float right. We'll put it on the right side and have the content float to the left side of it and flow around it. Now, there's a property that kind of goes hand in hand with float, and it's something called clear. What clear does is it forces it, it makes it so that nothing can sit to whatever side we clear of that element. So let's say I've got this figure floating to the right, and I've got this paragraph here and this paragraph here. If I were to clear right on one of these paragraphs, it'll make it so that nothing can sit to the right of it, therefore nothing can float alongside of it. I'm going to try that. I'm going to make a class called clear. Hopefully you have watched the video on classes and IDs by now, so you know how to use these. If you haven't, you should stop this video and go back and watch the class and ID video first. Clear right. So the class is called clear, so .clear. The only rule that I'm going to have in there is clear right. I'm going to apply this to the second paragraph. First paragraph, no, I want that to actually flow around it. And the second paragraph, I'm going to clear. Class, clear. Save it, refresh it in the browser, And now, nothing can sit to the right side of this paragraph. I made it so that this figure is only floating to the left side of this paragraph. This one, nothing can sit to the left of it. If I applied the clear to this paragraph as well, then nothing would be able to sit to the right of that as well. So the float is putting the image over to the side here, but nothing can sit to the right of this, so it goes down underneath that floated item. We're going to use these floats and clears to make more complex layouts in future videos. You'll be able to make multi-column layouts where you'll have one column that's going to be your content, another column that'll be a sidebar, maybe you'll have a section that'll have 3 different columns, each one is going to be a different feature. We're going to do all kinds of stuff with floats and clears. Thanks for watching.